turning on. A quick pro tip: if you have a wireless headset, or rather Bluetooth headset, make sure that any other devices that you've connected to do not have their Bluetooth on, because not all Bluetooth devices are the same. And I don't know why I was talking over here because you can't see me. This is much my light. Not all of them are the same, and they can't always be able to distinguish multiple connections. All right, so I am live. I can hear myself. Great, wonderful, beautiful, wonderful. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up my notes here just to make sure that I stay on track and cognizant of your time. So first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome. Please be sure to tag a friend if you feel like they would get value from this training, this video today. And I will be sharing my thoughts on if my programming degree was really worth it. But before I share that, I wanted to let you know that I'm opening up just a few spots in my upcoming Python Programming Basic Bootcamp. I know it's a mouthful. And I'm opening that up over the next few days. Now, this bootcamp is for you if you're looking to kind of, dip your toe in the world of programming, whether you're looking for a career change or you're just trying to, you know, get a chance to make the world a little bit better. Like the 16-year-old from India who at just 11 years old was able to prototype his invention, Ervis, ERVIS. Thank you, Hazik Kazi. I said that right. His invention basically is the ability to clean plastic from the ocean's surface. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a lot of plastic in the ocean, and the fish that's eaten the plastic can end up on your plate. Ooh. So I mean, that's great, right? He was 11 years old when he did that. And if he was 11 years old and can do that, what can you do? Hmm? Right? So if you're looking to have the tech broken down into easy to understand, bite-sized pieces, and yes, BYTE, because I am a nerd like that, then head on over to processheart.com/Python bootcamp. It should be down below in that scrolly dealio right there. And oh, I keep moving. And yeah, all right. So moving on. Haha. So as I said, today's topic is my opinion based on my experience, based on what I have dealt with, on if a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science degree, which I got personally from TCU, was worth the 4 years of devoted time and effort and thousands of dollars of student debt taken on to complete such a task. Now, I come from fairly humble beginnings, at least from my rose-colored glasses. I always had a roof over my head. I always had food in my stomach, so I never had to worry about those basic life necessities. But for any number of reasons, as a young child, I was constantly worried about, asking my mom for things, having to have her pay for things. And I swore, even in middle school, that I was going to create my life in such a way that my potential future children would never have to worry about money. So at the time, I had already decided that I couldn't be a vet. I love animals and I love helping, but knowing that I'd have to potentially hurt an animal in order to make it better just didn't sit right with me. Same thing for being a doctor, right? So, all of that, I started thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I really would love to teach. I want to empower others for success. I want to be able to, help improve the world in any way that I can. But at the time, YouTube and social media marketing just hadn't been invented yet. So I didn't really see a possibility to achieve my dream of financial freedom while empowering others for success as a teacher, right? That it just wasn't a platform that was viable for me at the time. Now, eventually, I did settle on becoming a programmer, a role that I could create something out of nothing that could benefit and help others. So I took well, let me back up a second. So that was what I decided to do. I got my degree, and great. I had wonderful professors that were teaching me their knowledge and breaking down the learning curve for me. But the impression I got from them, who most of them came from a time where their real life, you know, um, corporate America experiences were based off of a time that was no longer valid for the times that we are living in. And so all I heard were their stories about what they experienced, which is still valuable, but it gave me an altered perception of what was actually happening in the real world. So Graduated. 8 years it took me to get from graduation to actually doing something with my degree. And in that time frame, I did customer service, IT, system administration, all the other things, the back end work to prepare me for where I would be today. So 8 years after graduation, I landed a role at Cisco Systems where I started on my journey of being an internal tool developer and Python trainer for over 1,500 students. It didn't start there, right? It started as what they needed, what they were hiring at the time, but because of my degree, because of my knowledge of programming, because of the fact that I was passionate about teaching other people about programming, opened a lot of doors. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. So, like I said, I learned a lot through my journey, and that's why I'm here with you today. Now, if you're ready to break down your learning curve, then listen up. I'm about to share the 5 reasons you should and should not get a degree. I'll let you be the judge of if a degree is valuable for you in your journey, and I'll also share if it was for mine. Now, when you're ready to join me in my next Python Basics Bootcamp, be sure to head on over to prosperousheart.com/Python Bootcamp. Now, 5 reasons to get a degree. Really simple. First one is that you'll have an accredited, well, if you go to a college that's an accredited college, you'll have an accredited paper that says you completed coursework to some institution's curriculum that may or may not have anything to do with the actual work you'd like to be involved in. On the flip side, you don't know what you don't know, and having that education in a structured setup allows you to, again, break down learning curve, learn from other people, avoid some of those pitfalls, right? And this just shows on paper that you know what you're talking about. Now, I have come across a few interview candidates in my past who may have looked great on paper, but either struggled to or just didn't know that what was necessary for the role when it came to programming. So keep that in mind. A paper does not always mean that you know what you're talking about, or because papers, some people just as Robert Kiyosaki says, they just kind of skim by, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. It's not that it's bad, it's just something to keep in mind. Point number 2 about why you might want to get a degree. Only 18.3% of college graduates earn degrees in STEM fields, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, right? So, as per educationdata.org, I think that was as of 2020, and of those 18.3% of graduates, 59.2% got their bachelor's degree in 4 years. That means that they had a full course load and got through all of their classes, all of their projects, all of everything in 4 years. So about half of that 18%, so about 9%-ish, give or take a couple percentage points, only about 9% or so actually got a STEM degree, and half and is, oh, got the degree and finished it in 4 years, right? Now, if you're saying, oh, well, I'm this age and, it's going to take me 4, 6, 8, 10, 20 years to do it, where are you going to be in 4, 6, 8, 10, 20 years if you don't start now, if you're looking to have a degree, right? So just something to keep in mind. Point number 3 is that when you graduate, or even when you just attend school at any higher learning educational institution, you have a potential alumni group to tap into for your networking and to work on projects together and to find potential great jobs. It opens up doors of opportunity that you may not have had otherwise if you hadn't attended those classes, met those people, made those friendships, and had that college experience. Point number 4 about why you might want to consider getting a degree is there are a lot of scholarship programs available for all kinds of things, all kinds of things. You'd be surprised. And some companies will even help you pay for your school, some in part and some in total. Be sure to talk with your current job and see if they're open to sponsoring you to get your degree. And then last but not least, tip number 5, or reason number 5 on why you might want to get a degree is that prior to 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. I don't need to repeat that, right? Prior to 2020, there was a major focus on earning your degree in the hopes of creating a better life for your family, with a growing issue of wage gap to student debt, right? So that prior to 2020, there was a focus on getting your degree in those hopes, right? Now, 5 reasons to maybe not get a degree. Reason number one, having a mentor with recent real world experience is a lot less expensive and more relatable. You have potential business and friendship connections, doors of opportunity open up just as if you were doing it with a college degree or with a college curriculum. But with a mentor, they're currently working in whatever field it is that you're trying to go into. They can tell you, what jobs are looking for certain skill sets, all kinds of really great stuff. So it's a little bit more recent. I'm not saying your college professors aren't recent, but it really just depends on where you go, who the professors are, things like that. Reason number two to potentially not get a degree is, as I shared in my story, you don't always work in the field that you got your degree in. I didn't get statistics for this, but a lot of people don't even use their degree once they graduate. They just got a degree so they could get a foot in the door, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Do you really want to spend 4 years and however much money potentially on a degree that you may not even use when you get a job? That there's so many reasons for that, but just to keep that in mind. So point number three on why you might not want to get a degree is you can cultivate your network without going to college, especially if you understand social media marketing. And that's actually one of the things that I will be providing in this boot camp that I spoke about earlier. Um, if I didn't mention it earlier, but I did start my own business in digital marketing because, again, I wanted to empower people for success. And I recognize that social media marketing, digital marketing, whatever the case may be, is beneficial for both the entrepreneur and you, a job seeker, someone who's looking to, you know, change their career or maybe even move up by learning how to automate some things for yourself in your current role. So that's something to keep in mind is that you cultivate your network in any anytime that you meet people, that you actively engage, that you start to cultivate those relationships, right? You can do that without having to go to college. Reason number four that you might not want to get a degree is that it's potentially a very high monetary investment. Sure, there's, colleges, state colleges, uh, all kinds of stuff like that won't be that high price point, but there are some that are private institutions that may have a higher quality of education, but they also have the higher price point. So this can be financially crippling for some people, especially when inflation rates are high. In 2020, I believe inflation rose 5%. Now that may not seem like a whole lot, but when on average it's 1, 2, maybe 3%, 5% is a lot. And so if you had 90K in 2019, 90K is no longer 90K in 2020. Just keep that in mind, right? Cost of everything goes up. And last but not least, reason number five that you might not want to get a degree is that Forbes and many other publications have shown that many big name companies, Google, Facebook, ring a bell, many big name companies are moving away from what's called degree inflation, basically where they have a job and they require a degree that doesn't really need it, right? They're moving away from that and they're moving towards the idea that, oh, hey, someone who actually knows what they're talking about and has the experience, the knowledge, but may not have the degree might still be good for the job. What a concept. So there you have it. Those are the 5 reasons to not potentially not get a degree, that kind of counter the reasons to get a degree. Now there still are plenty of reasons to do it or not do it. It all depends on what your goals are and what is in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish. So there you have it. 5 reasons for and against getting a degree in the programming field. So what do you think? Do you think it's worth it? Do you have a degree? Do you not have a degree? What was this helpful for you at all? For me, definitely. I felt like getting the degree was definitely for me. It was definitely beneficial. I may not have had the opportunities that I did if I hadn't done that, but it's not for everyone. And you don't have to get a degree to be successful. My experience in the working world proved that to me, right? And I'd love to prove it to you too. So I firmly believe that you can be successful in coding or programming or whatever without a college degree. It's just about finding the right path and mentors for you. So if this all makes sense and you're ready to leverage my knowledge and experience to learn Python programming, be sure to head on over to prosperousheart.com Python-bootcamp so to snag, secure, whatever the word you want to use, your spot in my upcoming Python Basics Bootcamp. All right, programming can be easy, and I look forward to showing you how. Stay tuned for more on how Python programming, uh, or rather how I can break the Python programming down into easy to understand bite-sized pieces. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful and prosperous rest of your day. Bye. Oh, I moved it too far. Bye.